Last week, everyone was bearish. You couldn't find one bull in the market. Everyone was super bearish. And then we got this week where we got PPI, CPI. We got the hearing for Scott Bassett and the Hill. We got a lot of information that kind of calm things down. So let's dive in and see everything that happened this week, which was, of course, a green week. So hi, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Micha, and on this channel, we talk about stocks. We summarize the market. This is our channel. It's called Stock Talk with Micha Stocks. And if you're new, it would be amazing if you can subscribe to the channel so you can enjoy everything that happens every week on this channel. This is how the major averages ended the week. You can see the Russell 2000 up almost 4% for the week. Dow Jones up 3.69, S&P up 3%, and the NASDAQ up 2.85. Try to think back about the last 18 days. Do you think we started the year green or red? I assume that most of you feel that it didn't really start that good. You know, we had bad days and all that. Well, that's feeling. Those are feelings. When you look year to date, these are the numbers year to date. Year to date, the S&P 500 is up almost 2%. NASDAQ is up almost 2%, more than 2%. Russell up 2%. Why am I showing you that? Because the sentiment, the main sentiment in the market right now is bearish. And when it's bearish, no one is looking at the data saying, hey, we had a very strong week. When you look at the indices themselves, you can see the energy with this very strong week, the financials, the materials, the industrials, even healthcare ended the week on a green note. When you look at the crypto market, whether it's because of the new Trump coin or the inauguration or the reserve currency, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is up for the week 11%, Ethereum is up 6.3%, and we are again above $100,000 on the Bitcoin. On Friday, we actually even surpassed $105,000 during Friday's and Saturday's session. When we look at commodities, you can see gold and silver on the green, only natural gas on the red side. And this brings us to the Magnificent Seven. Tesla up 8% on the week. Amazon up 3%. Microsoft up 2.2%. But on the other side, we got Meta and Apple down. Apple is down almost 2.9% with one of the days during the week. It was Thursday, which was the worst day since August 5th, which was the Japanese carry trade. Okay, let's talk news about the week. But before that, a few hours ago, 36 hours ago, President-elect Trump, 2 days before inauguration, decides, you know what? Let's drive everything crazy. Let's do a Trump meme coin, and launches a meme coin, a Trump meme coin. Meme coin is coins that are more than are a joke, basically. Not more than that. They have nothing behind them except the fact that they're funny. He launches that, and by launching that, he creates billions of dollars of value for a coin that stands for nothing. Everyone is excited, everyone is happy, and people are going to lose a lot of money through that. But let the meme coins persist. The GDP, the U.S. Atlanta GDP Fed is up to 3%. America's economy is booming. Things are running hot, and it's great to be an investor in U.S. economy right now. TikTok is going to be banned, at least while I'm recording this. There hasn't been any resolution to the point where it's going to be banned. So 19th, no more TikTok. Both Biden and Trump are trying to fight it. Let's see if they'll be able to. PPI comes in better than expected, 0.2 versus 0.3. CPI comes better than expected, not the headline CPI, which came 0.4, but actually the super core CPI came in at 0.2, lower than expected. And when you look back at January, February, March, the comps are very high, which means that we probably will see a drop. That, of course, ignites the excitement inside the market. But if we talk about excitement, look at the AAII sentiment gauge. Only 25% of the individual investors are bullish. The percentage, the historic average is 37.5, meaning that most investors are still bearish. Why are they bearish? No one knows. The market is going up. But if there's a lesson to be told, when they're bearish and fear and greed is in fear, those are the best times to buy. And if we're talking about buying something, Intel stock up 8% on Friday. Why? Because of rumors that were written in Bloomberg that they're now an acquisition target. Actually, they were an acquisition target 3 months ago, but probably there are conversations being held that are more advanced than in the past. Trump team studies gradual tariffs instead of hiking at the same time. That, of course, calms market about inflation. Goldman Sachs says that the work of 6 people for a few weeks can be done in minutes by AI. But it's a bubble, people tell you. And I can tell you the following. If you're not using AI on a day-to-day basis, you're doing something wrong. Because everyone is trying to understand how they can maximize their performance through AI. And if you're not using that, then that means you're 2 years behind. Apple is selling less iPhones or less phones in China, and that makes them number 2 instead of number 1. Why? Because there is no AI in Apple phones. And yes, I have the latest. And yes, marking people and deleting them from photos, that's not really AI. Taiwan Semi's CEO says that they're going to grow AI accelerators by a CAGR, a compound annual growth rate of 40%. It means that every year it's going to grow by 40% starting 2024. That's how crazy the demand is. Rivian is getting $6.6 billion of loan from the government, from the Department of Energy, in order to build their new factory. Amazon is cutting jobs. Now, there are a few more, so listen up. Amazon cutting jobs, Meta cutting jobs, Microsoft cutting jobs. This might be just the beginning of everyone getting healthier in order to be better in 2025. And I'm sorry for the ones that are losing their jobs, but for us as investors, any job cuts that only improves the bottom line is good for us. Tesla is starting to produce their new Y in Gigafactory Berlin after doing that in China. It went to Berlin, and probably next would be Austin. That means that in the next few weeks we will start seeing the refreshed Model Y on the streets. Microsoft hiking price of Microsoft 365 for the first time in 12 years. Scott Bessent had a hearing on the Hill, and he actually again calmed the markets down. He said, look, I don't see Trump policies as inflationary. I understand that our fiscal spending is out of control. And also, he believes that there shouldn't be a digital dollar, but actually other coins. A quick reminder that he has over less than $500,000 in Bitcoin. And when we continue, we see China probing U.S. subsidiaries after the U.S. is probing and actually preventing Chinese companies American companies from selling into China. Microsoft is trying to get people to use more and more of their Copilot. Why? Because just like Mark Benioff said, you might have AI, but if you're not using it, it doesn't mean anything. Short seller Nathan Anderson shuts down Hindenburg Research, and he's shutting it down not because he doesn't have any success with it, mainly because he feels that, he can't find any more targets. Being a short seller in Wall Street is very, very difficult. You're always going against the herd. You're always trying. No one likes you. And it takes a toll. For us, it's good because it's a less short seller. The SEC in their last days before they clear office are suing Elon Musk for acquiring Twitter stocks when Twitter was publicly traded without sharing that he did so before acquiring the company, which is not allowed to. President Xi met the European Council president, trying to build a relationship with the Europeans. Eli Lilly just announced that they acquired Scorpion Therapeutics. Johnson & Johnson acquired intracellular therapies. And that brings us to this week or next week, depending how you want to call it. Monday, no trading. What we will have is the inauguration. It's not going to be outside on the steps of the Hill. It's going to be inside. And the reason for that is heavy. I'm not sure it's going to be snowy, but mainly very, very cold. Probably not what President Trump wanted to see. He wanted to see a big rally with a lot of people indoors. It kind of loses that excitement. But I don't know how he's going to use that. We're starting to get more and more companies that are going to report. Let's highlight a few of them. Tuesday, we're going to hear from Schwab, D.R. Horton, Prologis, and after the bell, we're going to hear from Netflix, United, and Interactive Brokers. Wednesday, we're going to hear from Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, Halliburton, Ali, and others. And after the bell, we are going to hear from Kinder Morgan, Alcoa, and Steel Dynamics. When we go to Thursday, we will hear from GE Aerospace, Huntington, Union Pacific, and after the bell, we are going to hear from Texas Instrument and Intuitive Surgical. If you're missing the big companies, you're going to get them next week. 41% of the S&P 500 is reporting next week. Friday, we get Verizon, American Express, and Xterra. And that brings us directly, there aren't any special events during the week. I went over the calendar. Brings us directly to the S&P 500. So, let's look at where we are and where we want to be. 50-day moving average, we're above it. But, and there's a big but. When you look at the way we went up during the week, we had two gaps. Why am I mentioning gaps? Gaps are the difference in price between the highest price of the day and the lowest price of the day after. It can be the lowest and the highest. It might be the opposite. In this case, we have two gaps. Gaps are usually used as a magnet. Magnet for the price to come down to the gaps, which means that we might have a closed gap and a further gap. It doesn't mean that 100% of them are being closed, but 80 are. So where are we going this week? First of all, we're very close to that head and shoulder pattern, or actually the shoulder patterns. Here you can see when I add 60-17 or 60-21, this is the line that we have to close the day above. We didn't close the day above it. So the pattern of the head and shoulders, which is a bearish pattern, still exists. And we need to know that. We need to close the day above 1621, which is this shoulder over here. I would love to see us close the day above 6049, but let's take it one step at a time. So there's downside risk, not a dramatic downside risk, but there is downside risk. The optimistic side of it is when you look at the weekly candles, we did have a very strong engulfing candle on the week. Engulfing is a candle that engulfs fully the candle before it. This is a bullish sign. The ones that we've seen here, the doji, this plus, which means that the market hasn't decided which way they want to go, is bearish. So we will see. We're currently trading water. As you can see, we're at the same price that we were in November. So stepping in place, basically. That was the weekly summary. I'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Bye-bye.